Hello, 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 and welcome to another live ukulele lesson with me, Matt Stead. Today we're going to delve into the secrets of the circle of fifths. This is such a powerful tool used by so many musicians, and it has all sorts of purposes that are really empowering to you. So, as well as being kind of a really useful thing to understand and a brilliant thing to understand, this is actually going to have practical uses for you. So, I'm really, really excited. You might have heard about this in a few places, but we're going to kind of demystify everything. So, hopefully, you'll find this useful. Um, if you haven't already, you can download your worksheets. They look like this. We've got lovely circle of fifths and then all sorts of explanations about what it is and how we can use it in a lot more detail. You can get that for £5 from my PayHip, or if you're a member of my website, and if you're not, why not? Just head to learnukulele.com and you can get it for free as a member as well. So yeah, so hopefully you'll find that really, really interesting. So let's see who's here. So hi Pam, sunny day, sunny autumnal day up in Yorkshire. Apparently we've got this storm coming tomorrow, haven't we? Here, the day before I go on holiday, which is just typical. Hopefully it blows itself out by Friday. Hi Barbara, drizzly and windy in St Paul. You've got the rain before we get it by the sounds of it. Rainy Rhode Island. Hi Leslie. I hope you guys are all doing well. Brilliant to see you. If you haven't already, just make sure you've got live chat on YouTube and then you can comment along. Because this is going to be quite theory based, I'm going to bring my iPad screen on quite a lot today. Hopefully it'll work. It should look like this if it does. Yeah, it's working. Good. So do ask lots of questions as you go along. Liz, don't worry, we know it's you, Liz. Liz was just saying she's had circle of fifths explained before but never really understood it. So ask all those questions, Liz, and everyone else. Let's see if we can really make sure it makes sense to you. Hi Stephen, I hope you're doing well up there in Southeast Wales. Or down there, over there, I guess, from here, right? Hi, Kira. I hope I'm saying that right. Leslie, yeah, you know me. It had to have colours. It kind of links into that video I recently did, didn't it? Doesn't it, about synesthesia? And I kind of see chords and notes as kind of different colours and feelings. So yeah, fantastic. Okay then guys, let's get started then. I'll bring on the circle of fifths and I'll talk a little bit about what it is. I think let's just bring it on and put it next to me and we'll just talk you through it at first. So, circle of fifths at its basic is basically a musical tool which helps us to find scales, chord families and chord progressions that fit together really, really lovely. Hi, Suzanne. And basically, at its simplest, what it is every note that goes clockwise around the circle of fifths. Imagine like 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock. Every note is 5 above the 1 to the left or anti-clockwise from it. I'll show you exactly what I mean. Now, when we talk about musical intervals, that just means like the distance between two notes. It's a semantic thing, but this is really, really important as well. Hi, Joe. We have to include the chord that we start on, or the note that we start on. So what I mean by that, hi Karen, what I mean by that is if we start with C, we include C when we count upwards. So C, D, E, F, G. We call G a fifth or 5 above C. And you might think, hang on, that's not quite right, because you go C to D to E to, sorry, we might go, C is one gap to D to E to F and so on and so forth. And you might think it's a bigger gap, but we include the one we start on. So C, D, E, F, G. I've forgotten how to count today. Hi, David. So that would be a fifth. So you can see the distance between C and G. And then we've got exactly the same thing, G to D. Well, that's count up from G, G, A, B, C, D. There, we've got another fifth. I won't do all of them, but D to A, D, E, F, G, A. That's another fifth. So basically, every time you move clockwise around the circle or the wheel, we go up a fifth, and that's got really important applications in later on when we start to explain how all this works. Then if we go the other way around, sometimes that's called the circle of fourths. So if we go backwards or anti-clockwise, C to F, C, D, E, F is 4, F to B flat is 4, F, G, A, B flat, and so on and so forth. But both of those are important for different reasons, but the fifth is the most important. So that's why we count it. We call it the circle of fifths. That's why it exists. And you can think of this as both notes and chords. If we think of it as notes, you don't have to worry about the major minor thing, because in terms of notes, there's no difference between a major or minor. A note is a note. There's just 12 of them in the chromatic one. No worries, Anthony. Good to see you. And each one is a kind of spoke on a wheel, if you like. So the other way you can think about it is thinking, actually, let's think of them as chords. Now that changes things slightly, because the outer wheel, we have all the major chords, and the inner wheel, we have all the minor chords. That's going to be really important later on when we talk about something called relative minor to major. We'll talk about that a little bit later on. But all your major chords around the outside, all your minor chords in the middle. Now, why is that useful? What does it tell us? Well, first of all, just in terms of pure music theory and being able to understand scales, this teaches you lots of things about scales. So, for instance, if you start at 12 o'clock, where there's a little me looking like that, he seems to have a bit of a bushy attached to me, but if we start there with a C note, notice that the treble clef, that's the thing that looks like the ampersand. You'll find that at the start of a piece of music. It doesn't have any sharps or flats next to it. Every major key and every minor key in the world has a certain amount of sharps and flats, and C major and A minor don't have any. Notice that if we go clockwise around to G, G major and E minor have one sharp. You can see it next to the treble clef. And you notice that every time you go clockwise around, we have an extra sharp. So the key of D has 2 sharps. The key of A has 3 sharps. The key of E, 4 sharps, and so on and so forth. And even if your circle of fifths doesn't show that, not every circle of fifths does, you can do that manually. Just think nothing at 12 o'clock, and then 1 o'clock is a sharp, that's G, D has 2, and so on and so forth. And then notice if we go the other way anti-clockwise, that we have an increasing number of flats. So C and A minor has no flats, F and D minor has 1 flat, B flat and G minor has 2, E flat and C minor has 3. So that's really useful. Now, why is that useful, right? Why is that a really helpful thing to learn? Well, you might need to know for various reasons what key a song is in. And we'll talk about how to spot a key in a song if you don't have an indication. But you know how when you get most sheet music, it looks like this. Let's bring on an example. Here's one of my arrangements. It will look something like this. This is a chord melody version I did of something. Now, if I blow it up and really make it big so we can see that treble clef at the start, let's say it might be too big. Can you see there, underneath where it says Adagio, we've got that little kind of ampersand sign, if you like, that little treble clef, we call it. Next to it, we have 4/4 written. That's the time signature. Don't worry about that. But notice there are no sharps or flats there. So that must mean if we can use our circle of fifths, and you've got one of these, and if you don't, just take a photo of the screen and then you do. If we use our circle of fifths, look, the only key that doesn't have a sharp or flat in it is C. Okay, so already that's really cool, right? So we know, if just from our circle of fifths, that this song is in either the key of C or A minor. The relative minor of any key, basically the inner wheel, has all the same notes and chords in it as the major, the outer wheel. It just starts from a different place. So the key of C is C. You don't have to remember all this, but it's just interesting, right? The key of C goes C, D, E, F, G, A, and the key of A goes A, B, C, D, E, F, G. So all the same notes, just starting from a different place. The way you know whether a song is in a minor key or a major key is the feel of it. So major keys have a brighter, more straightforward, upbeat feel to them, and minor keys have a sadness and a kind of melancholy to them. So that's one way to tell. The other way is to look at the first chord of a piece and the last chord. Now, not always, but often the first and the last chord give you the key. So if it starts with C and ends in C, it's probably in C major. If it starts and ends with A minor, it's probably A minor. Let's have another example. So let's say, let's have a look at Long and Winding Road. This is another example. So, oh, and Leslie's already had a light bulb moment, which is fantastic. Yay! And Joe, that's what we want. We'll have lots of those today, hopefully. And like I say, if you don't understand anything, just ask. That's why we've got the comments here to help. So look at the treble clef of this one, The Long and Winding Road. Beautiful song, right? Gorgeous, gorgeous Paul McCartney song. You'll see that this one has 3 flats next to it. Flats are like the ones that look like a little b, an undercase b or underscore. I never know which is which, but lowercase underscore, whatever it is. The little b, those are your flats. And there are 3 of them. Well, if we go back to our circle of fifths, let's have a look at which key has 3 flats. C, F, B flat, E flat. So they're at about, I don't know, 11:45. We have the key of E flat or C minor. So we know that that song is in a key of E flat. Now, why you need to know that, you'll see in a minute. It's going to be really useful, I promise. But that's how you can work out a key of a song. Just one final example, just so you can see. Here we've got Here Comes the Sun. This one has 1 sharp in it. So that means 1 o'clock, right? Thinking about it. Let's have a look. So if we go to 1 o'clock on our wheel, that's G, right? 1 sharp. So we know that song's in the key of G. And this one's nice because it kind of illustrates what we talked about earlier. If you have a look at the first chord there, it's a G major, the very first chord. So again, that's another hint we're in the key of G. And if I go to the very last page, look, another G chord. So that kind of illustrates that we're in G, which is really, really nice. Okay, so that's one use for the circle of fifths already. It tells us how many sharps or flats each key has, and it helps us to find what key a song is in. And that's really important because a lot of times people ask me what key a song is in, and they try and work out all sorts of clever ways, but sometimes you just need to go back and look at the treble clef and find out, and then you can reference it as well. Buster and Joviet, that's a great name, by the way, was just asking, is there a point on the circle where you stop adding flats and start adding sharps? Yeah, it happens. It happens down here. Well, it's an interesting one, really, because it depends whether a key is a flat or a sharp. I'll show you what I mean. I'll explain what I mean. So generally, you could keep going forever and kind of adding those sharps. Or the best way to think about it, and this is the way I think, when you get to 6 o'clock, right down the bottom, when we get to F sharp, that's got the maximum amount of sharps and flats in it. So you can see there we've got, what's that, 6. We've got 6 there. So that's the most sharps, I think. Oh, no, we could go to 7. We could go to C sharp to 7. Apologies. and that has 7 sharps and flats. So that's the most sharps and flats that we can have. And if we go the other way, we go right round as far as that G flat, which has 6 flats in it. Then you get to the semantic thing. I don't want to go too much down a rabbit hole here. Why some keys are called sharp and some keys are called flat? Because you know how, for instance, C sharp is technically the same as a D flat, isn't it? I'll show you what I mean. So if I was to play, and you can do this if you've got your ukes, if I was to play my C string like this, and I put my finger here on the first fret, that gives me C sharp, and then the next fret is D. But if I go backwards and I go the other way, I can also think of it as D going to D flat to C. So technically, in terms of just the sound that we hear, the notes C sharp and D flat are exactly the same. The only reason we have them as different keys, they call it enharmonic, is literally for this reason. When you read sheet music, there's no way in notation to easily show that a key has sharps and flats. You kind of need to indicate on the treble clef one or the other. You can't have both because it gets complicated. Is that one a sharp? Is that one a flat? It just doesn't work in terms of reading sheet music. So that's why we only have sharps or flats. I'll give you a better example than that. Let me go to my trusty iPad here. Let me just get a note up. I'll do that. Give me a second. I think I've got a better way I can kind of illustrate this. I love this stuff, by the way. Buster, this is really, really important stuff. So let me just make this bigger, and I'll start a new note. There we go. Okay, let's get rid of that, and okay. So let's take a key that has 1 sharp in it, which is G major. I'm going to take this away at the moment, so we'll do G major, and I'll write out the key of G. G, A, B, C, D, E, and F sharp. Now, the reason why we call this an F sharp is on the same musical stave. Like I say, you can't really have 2 notes that are both a sharp and not a sharp. It gets too confusing, right? So in the key of G, we call this one an F sharp because if we called it a G flat, we'd have 2 types of G, right? We'd have a normal G and a G flat in one piece of music. That's way too complicated to read in terms of sheet music. It just wouldn't work, right? And the same thing happens in other keys. Let's do another one. Let's bring up my circle of fifths and let's pick a key. Let's do the key of F, which has 1 flat in it. Okay, so I'll go back to my iPad. Let me take this away. And hopefully this will be another aha moment. I love this stuff. Okay, so let's write out then the key of F. We've got F, G, A, B flat, whoops, C, D, and E. Well, the reason we call this a B flat rather than an A sharp, okay, technically they sound the same when you play them on uke, but the reason we call it a B flat is otherwise we would have an A and an A sharp in the same key, and it just doesn't work again in terms of reading sheet music. So it's almost like a semantical thing. You just can't have both the same. So therefore we call some keys sharps and some keys flats. That's basically why you get it in effect. But yeah, so once you get round through all the sharps, you'll see going round to C sharp, there are no more. And that's why when we go the other way, we eventually run out. So yeah, that's it. Exactly. Aha! You can't have 2 types of G in one scale. Exactly. Yeah, that's it. That's it. So Kevin's just asking, so it depends on your direction of travel through the scale. Yeah, I suppose so. Yeah, so we think of G as going up to the F sharp. Yeah, that would make sense. So within a key, it's only ever sharps or flats, basically. That's the way to think about it. That's the important thing. Now, as ukulele players, then we come to something really, this is where it starts to get, yay, ding, ding. Should do a light bulb. Oh, I know what I could do. Let's do a sound effect. Let's see. No, that's no good. Let's do a... There we go. Fantastic. We'll do each one of those. We get to a light bulb moment, right? That'll be good. Okay, let's get into why this is really useful. Well, it just so happens that when we put chords together like this, going round in fourths and fifths, that we get these really nice chunks of chord or key families. I'll show you exactly what I mean. I'm going to go back to my iPad. Let me just bring up one of the sheets. Give me a second. You're going to have a lot of me staring down today, I'm afraid, but it'll all be for, for good reason, hopefully. Okay, so let's get rid of this and bring my iPad one on. This is where things start to get really useful. So it just so happens that when we arrange music in this way, let's see if I can get a highlighter, that should do it, that if we take a chunk of this circle of fifths, I almost think of it like a pie, right? Like, or a sliced pizza. If we take a chunk like this and we start with, this would be our one chord, this is the key we're in, so this is the key of C. All the chords that are adjacent to it and next to it are all the chords within that key. Let's check that out. So in the key of C major, let's go back to a normal pen, we'd have C, D, E, F, G, A and B. And why do I know that it's those notes? Well, it's just the alphabet going up from C. And we know, because of our circle of fifths, there's no sharps or flats in the key of B. So we know that these must be the notes that we get. There's not going to be a D sharp or an F sharp. And in any key, certain chords are minor. Notice in the key of C, D is a minor, E is a minor, and A is a minor. Don't worry about that B. I'm going to explain something about that in a moment. But how cool is that? We can see all of the chords that come up in a key right there. Let's go back to it again. And if you want to get the order, I know it sounds really daft, but if you want to get the order for the key, you would literally just count in alphabetical order. So if I do it on this one, let's see if I can do this in a bright colour. Maybe let's do this and do it in this bright green. C would be 1 because it comes first in the alphabet. Then we'd have 2 here. We tend to write things with Roman numerals so it doesn't get confused with other things. E minor would be 3. Okay. F would be 4 because it comes next in the alphabet. G would be 5. And then A minor would be 6. And there's 7 notes or 7 chords in every key, which we'll discover in a minute. That's all of the chords in the key, in the key of C. That's really neat, right? And when we put this together with something later, when we talk about changing keys and transposing, this is going to be really, really important. Yeah, exactly, Johnny. The B at the moment is a missing piece of the pie, and I'm going to tell you how to find it in a minute in any key, that 7th chord. Oh, thanks, Evanescence. Thank you. Really appreciate that. Yeah, if you're a Germanic speaker, same with a lot of the Scandinavian countries, B is often called H as a musical note, isn't it? So our B is H, but we'll just call it B for today because it gets too confusing. So think about those little undercase Bs as flats, not Bs, if that makes sense. So those are all the chords that come up in the key of C. If I write them out over here in the top left corner, that's C, D minor, E minor, F, G, and A minor. We'll talk about the 7th one in just a minute. That's really useful, right? Because say you were trying to work out the chords that came up in a song and you knew that the chords that you had worked out were C and F. Well, what if there's another major chord, you can work out yourself that it's likely to be G. This is why it's really cool. It's really empowering. You can use this as a key skill. And later on, we're going to talk about different chord combinations that come up, common progressions, and you'll be able to fill in the gaps yourself. It's really cool. So that's really useful. If you're a songwriter as well, and just to understand how songwriters work, if you imagine like an artist has a palette of colours to paint their picture, these 7 chords are the colours that they would use to paint a song. So when they stay within a key, which most musicians do, these are the chords and notes that they would use basically. Now, Indrani brought up an important point, how to find the 7th, because we've got this nice chunk of pizza, but there's one more chord in the key of C. And if I lift this up a little bit here, it's a B. You'll notice when I wrote it out up here, we had a B here, right? So we need to find a B. Now, to find the 7th chord in every key, it's a little bit awkward. You just have to count round from the 1 chord. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That would give us our B. So this one here, if I'm doing my slices of cake again, let me just do the highlight. This one here, that's the 7th, okay? So that gives us the whole of a key. Now, that looks crazy. You'll notice in a minute that I've got lots of these circle of fifths, so I don't have to delete and start all over again. Kyra, anytime, that's why I'm here. Anytime you want to ask a question, just stick it in the comments and I will answer it as best I can. And if I can't answer it, I'll be totally honest about it. And if I miss it, perhaps Karen or Indrani, my admins, perhaps you or Barbara, you could tell me, just let me know and put a hashtag and I'll find it. Anthony is saying he finds the piano keyboard useful. Play up from C and the black notes are sharps. Yeah, quite right. Play down to the middle C, the black notes become flats. Really nice, really nice. That's a great way of playing it. On my uke theory course, I often use a melodica, which is a wind instrument, but it has a keyboard on it, and it's easy to envisage these things. So I should have brought my melodica. That would have been quite helpful as well. Karen's saying there's another way to find the 7th note, B. Look at the minor chord to the right of the pie slice. It's a B minor. Just drop the M. Let's check that out. Yeah, there it is. Yeah, that's another way. You could think about the 7th chord as this one. You've got to just turn it into, make sure it doesn't have the minor on it. So that, yeah, that's another way of doing it. Now look at that mess. It looks like something Einstein would do, right? So, but the best way to really kind of make sure that all sinks in is to try it in a different key. So let's do that. Let's find all the notes in a different key. Whilst I get this prepared, someone shout out a key. Try not to make it really, really hard unless you're really, really cool. Try and make it one of the ones near the top. And we'll work out all of the chords in another key. And then in a minute, we're going to show you how that's helpful. We're going to actually grab our ukes and do some playing, and I'll show you how you can use it as well. So yeah, David, in terms of that 7th, yeah, you can go across the pie 1 step clockwise. That'll give you the 7th. But or you can go around the outer ring and just go round. Indrani, that was quick. Nice. Let's do it in the key of G. Okay, so just to prove this works, and let's you guys like the key of G. I love it. Okay, right, so let me find a blank. I've got loads of these circles of fifths, so I can draw all over them from scratch. Here's a blank one. Okay, so we're looking for the key of G. And you can do this on your own sheets. You could print it out a load, or you could do it on your iPad and just duplicate them, whatever you've got. So we know that G is our 1 chord. Let's actually write that in. We'll put 1 here. There's our 1 chord. So let's do our pie. If I go to my highlighter, and we'll do the nice pie thing, notice that we need G to be in the middle, because that's the key. And I draw my pie. And there, instantly, we've got all the chords that come up in the key of G. We've got G, and make sure you do it alphabetically, so we're pedantic and get them in the right order. Then A minor, because that's 2 there. B minor. I'm being naughty and using not Roman numerals just for time. And then C is 4, D is 5. And then let's do E is 6, E minor. Now, this would be really good because we can test that my theory works, right? It's not really my theory. I mean, people have been doing this for years and years and years. But let's test and see if we can find the 7th note in the key of G. And remember, as well, it should be a sharp, right? Because if we look at the key signature here, let's just do it here. Sorry, wrong one. Yeah, pay attention, Matt. That one, we can see that G has 1 sharp in it, and we haven't got any sharp chords yet. So hopefully, if we've got this right, it should be a sharp. Although I kind of already know it right, because I eventually you come to learn all these. But let's do it together. Let's bring this up again. And what we'll do, move that up a bit. We'll count around from G. We'll count around 1, 2, 3. Hang on. I need to go 1 foot, sorry. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. F sharp. F sharp is the last chord in the key of G. And this is where it gets, I choose wrong pen. So we're going to put an F sharp in there as well. That gives us all the chords in the key of G. And we know it wanted to be a sharp because we talked about that earlier, didn't we? So that's interesting. And that 7th chord in any key is a diminished chord or a half diminished. It has a real kind of jazzy sound to it. Just something you have to remember. So let's put that to some use. We're going to look at it in more details with songs. I think I had a question as well. Cheryl was just saying, when it comes to the forgotten child, the diminished chord, my hack is to go to the left of the 4 chord and sharpen the chords. Yeah, that makes sense. It's amazing, isn't it? There's all these different ways of doing it, which I love. And Kira, I had it right the first time. Thanks, Kira. So Kira's writing a song and didn't know what key it's in. How do I use the circle to figure out that? Okay. So there's a couple of ways you can do it, Kira, and we'll bring this into the next bit of use of the circle of fifths as well. The first thing to do, Kira, just out of interest, do you have the song handy? Are you able to physically just write the chords in that you've got so far? Because we could probably do it live, and that would be really cool, right? So if you can, Kira, if you know the chords to your songs, they don't have to be in the right order. Just scribble them all out, and let's see if we can work it out live. I'll show you how to do it. Whilst you're doing that, if you can't find them, Kira, don't worry, and I'll explain it another way. Just whilst you're doing that, Joe's asking, is there a definable reason why the 7th is directly opposite the 4 chord? Let's have a look. So let's have a look. So the 4 chord, oh yeah, down there. I'm not sure actually. Joe, I'm going to be completely honest. I'm not sure if that's a coincidence or if it's for a reason, but that's another way of finding it, right? That's another way of finding it, is to go opposite the 4 chord. There's so many different ways you can think about these things, but yeah, I'm not sure if there's a specific reason, to be honest, Joe. But it's handy that it is right, because that's another way of finding it. So yeah, brilliant. So I think Kira's going to give us some chords in a minute. No pressure. But whilst they are, let's just have a look at a way that we can prove that this all works and it sounds nice. Okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put another circle of fifths. So I might run out of these. I might need some more blank circle of fifths, but that should be easy enough to do. I'll bring another one up. There we go. Here's another one. Let's go back to a chunk. Okay, let's try, I'll tell you what, just to make things interesting, let's try a different key. So shout out any key in the world, any key, basically any note between A and G. Just shout it out and we'll use that key. And what we're going to do is we're going to play some of the chords from that and then we'll work it out. I'm going to park this down the bottom here, Kira, so we've got it for later. I've got a feeling I know. I've got a feeling I can guess what key it is, but we'll have a look in a minute. Okay. So let's just. There we go. Indrani has given us a key. We've got the key of B. So we're going to look at the key of B. Okay. Let's bring a circle of fifths on. Let's find all of the chords and notes that come up in the key of B. Now this one is right down the bottom, isn't it? Let me just move Kira over. I'm going to keep this on screen because I want to come back to that in a minute, Kira. So B is our one chord. So we're going to work out what the chord family is first. Well, let's draw our pi on there. Let me just move it up so you can actually see what I'm doing. Let's draw the pi. Now the pi here with B in the middle will look like this, won't it? And then if we want to find the 7 chords, we go 5 around from B. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If I got that right, let me just do that again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There we go. So we've got a G minor. That doesn't seem right. Hang on, what have I done wrong here? Sometimes I have a bit of a blank moment where my brain goes dead itself. So hang on, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 5. Yeah, that's interesting. Let's do it another way then. Let's go directly opposite from B. It's all right, I'm just talking to myself. So let's go directly opposite from B. So the final note in the key of B is going to be opposite this fourth. We've got B flat. Okay, right. Let's write out these chords. So we've got B. Oh, crumbs. Using the wrong pen. Shall I do that on a... I'll do this on a clean... no, I'll do it up here. I think you should be able to see it up here. Sorry, guys. Sorry, I'm kind of just... You're just staring at a diagram. I'm going to start writing the chords in from the key of B, but I'm just going to move this up so we've got some space. So we've got B is your one chord. What else have we got? The next one, let's just go up the alphabet. We've got C sharp minor. Wow, these are going to be quite hard to play, but we can still work them out. We've got D sharp minor next. D sharp minor. Indrani, you're cruel. This is really this is a really hard key. Then we've got what have we got next? We've got F sharp. Sharp. What have we got next after F sharp? We've got G sharp minor. Sharp minor. Okay. There we go. So that gives us our 6. And then if we go round again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That should give us we'll call it hang on just a second. So if we go around 5, that's going to give us our that's going to give us our B flat, but we don't want to call it a B flat because we've already got a B, right? So this is kind of this is really interesting. Okay, I'm going to be totally honest. I was getting really confused and I was thinking it can't be right that when we go round for the 7th chord from here, 1. Okay, and we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I thought it can't be right that we've got a B flat because we've already got a B in the key. But that's an example as to why keys have sharps and flats. So I need to call that. What do I need to call it, guys? Anyone want to put it in the comment before I do it? That's going to give me a flat. Sorry, an A sharp. Being daft. There we go. Which is the same as a B flat. There we go. Fantastic. So here we have all the notes in all the chords in the key B. B major, C sharp minor, D sharp minor, F sharp, G sharp minor, A sharp, and Leslie's quite right. I missed one out, didn't I? I should have put the E in there as well. I missed the E as well, which is that one there. So that gives us all the chords in the key of B. Now this one's going to be really hard to do. Yeah, well done, guys. A sharp. We call it A sharp because we can't have a B flat. Let's just transfer this to a slightly easier key, because that's going to be really difficult. You guys don't want to have to play a C sharp and a D sharp minor, right? And an F sharp. That's going to be really horrible. So let's go, should we go back to the key of G? Let's do a friendly key and work out some uses of this. Kira, I haven't forgotten you. I'm going to come back to that in a sec, just so you can see it. So let me just bring, we did G earlier, didn't we? Let me bring in that one. Yeah, it's going to look a bit messy. I wonder if I could just do this on screen with this, actually. It'll save it looking so messy. Yeah, let's just do this. So let's have a look at the key of G. Grab your ukes if you've got them. If you haven't, you can just have a listen. So we know our one chord is G because we worked it out. Okay. The next chord is going to be A minor. Okay, so the slice of pie. B minor. C, D, E minor, and then if we go right around, we've got an F sharp. We're going to play that as a diminished chord. Sorry, that one there, and then that takes us back to G. So all of those chords fit in the key of G nicely. I can play any of them in any order. A minor, B minor, C, D, E minor, F sharp diminished, and back to G. So that's really powerful. We've got all of the chords that come up in the key of G, and all we did is we just took our pi, here it is, and we worked them out that way, going 5 to get our F sharp, 5 round to the right, which gave us all the chords in the key of G. Why is that useful? Well, first of all, if you're writing songs, it gives you the chords that fit together in the key. If I play a chord that doesn't fit in that song, like let's just do an E flat, it will sound weird. Have a listen. If I play G, C, all these fit. If I do an E flat, it's like, whoa, what? That doesn't quite fit. So that's why people stay within keys as songwriters. So no worries, Laura. Good to see you. Good to see you. So what I want to do, let's start with the one chord because that often sets stuff on the journey. Let's write a song together just for fun. This is going to be one powerful way of using circle of fifths. Okay, so let's say we want to start on a G chord. What I want you to do next is give me a number. First person to do it gets their chord. Give me a number between 1 and 7, or give me one of the chords in the key of G. We're writing the song together. We're writing the song. We're writing the song together. Where's it gonna go? Someone give me a number between 1 and 7 before I go mad. Yay, we got loads. Okay, we've got the 3 chord. G, A, B minor. Here's a little bit of sadness, because it's a minor chord, we're back to G. There's a little bit of sadness from the 3 chords, and we're back to G. Barbara wanted us to go 6, and Johnny wanted us to go 5. Karen wanted us to go to 4, and we're back to 1. Oh yeah. So we've just written a song, right? You can be a lot more crafty about this. All these chords have different personalities. But the most important thing is I want you to notice that all of those chords work. Okay, right. Let's just quickly, this is a bit crazy, but just for fun, this is just for my reference. I'm going to bring these on. Let's put a subject together. So what is our song going to be about? Someone tell me what the song's about. It could be anything in the world, anything at all, and we'll start our song. I'll come up with some words off the top of my head and we'll see if we can do it. And we're going to play these chords. Wonder if I should I'll bring this up and I'll put this up here as well. I know it's small, but just so you can see it, okay? All right, so what's our song going to be about, folks? Whilst I'm waiting for that to come in. Oh, autumn. There we go. It's going to be about autumn. Okay, so I'm going to write a song as if by magic, just going to use those numbers you use. So I'm going to use G is 1, 3, G, A, B minor is 2. I'll try and get a bit of laziness in there as well, Barbara. And then what else have we got? We've got the 6 chord. So G, A, B, C, D, that's E minor. And then the 4 chord, C, and then we'll go back to G again at the end. So we've got to... Hang on, this is bad. Let's try it. Okay, right. No more subjects, otherwise this is going to be impossible. But I will try these. Try and bring all of these in. Okay. All right. And remember that minor chords have a slight sadness in, so maybe we'll do the sad bits when it goes to there. Okay, here we go. Ready? Our song in the key of G. It's autumn time. It's autumn time, and the trees are turning brown. That's the 3 chord. Let's do 1 and 3 again. It's autumn time. It's autumn time, and the leaves are falling on the ground. Then I'll go to the 6 chord, E minor. There are cool breezes. 5 chord, D. It's pretty cold, probably too cold for ice cream. It's too cold, and I'm feeling pretty lazy because it's autumn and the leaves are turning brown. Because it's autumn and the leaves are falling down on the ground. There are cold breezes, much too cold for ice cream. Because it's autumn. So there we go, right? We just wrote a song. So that's one way it can be really, really useful. It gives you the chords to write a song. But what if you're not a songwriter? Is it still useful to know what chords come up in the key? Heck yes, right? If you're playing a piece of music, it's really useful if you can kind of guess what chords are going to come up next. So if you are playing this chord combination, let's see it. Let's try if I was playing this chord combination. G, C, D, and I'm coming to the end of a line. So G, C, D, and then I kind of want to feel like I go back home. Well, we know it's probably going to be a G chord because that one's in the key of G. And if you're at any point in a song, this is really powerful, and you think, okay, that I've still got 7 chords to choose from, and you're trying to work out which chord it is, just try all of them. Just try them until you get one that fits. If it sounds sad, it's likely to be a minor. Well, there's only 3 of those to try. It won't take you long to work it out, right? If it's upbeat and it sounds like a happy chord, well, there's only 3 of those in a key. So it will either be in the key of G, it'll either be G, C, or D. If it sounds weird and jazzy, it might be that 7th, that F sharp diminished 7. But isn't that cool? So I love that. Kira really sets a challenge. She's been writing a song and it has an F, D minor, G minor, and a B minor later on. So what you can start to do is you can look for patterns on a circle of fifths where these chords come up. So let's do that. So let's try and work out what key Kira's song is in. I'll get another circle up. I'm running out of these now, but that's fine. And let's put Kira's chords on the diagram. Okay, so in Kira's song, she's got an F. So let's find that. Let me just get a pen up. So yeah, that works. So we've got an F here. Okay, and there's a D minor here. There's a C here. Okay. There's a G minor. Okay, brilliant. And then there's a C later on. Oh, we've got that. Then there's a surprise B minor. Okay. All right. Okay. So automatically I'm starting to think, particularly because you started with F as well, Kira, I would call this, it's most likely to be in the key of F, because if I draw my pie, right, let's draw a pie around these. Look at that. Almost all of the chords fit perfectly within this chunk. So that would mean it would work beautifully with it being in the key of F. That B minor's unusual, but sometimes you will get an outlier, because sometimes, even if it's yourself, sometimes there are some chords that you take from another key which will sound really, really nice. Let's try and think what that would be. That would be like F. That would be almost like a, yeah, it'd almost be like a flatted 5. But sometimes you'll get a chord from another key that will just work. So yeah, and as the others said, yeah, B flat definitely in the key of F as well, which works. All of those chords fit quite nicely into the key of F. So yeah, there you go. Magic, right? Isn't that cool? So we've worked out that Kira's song's in the key of F. Love it. Love it. Okay. Oh, it's B flat. Oh, no. It was B flat, was it? Oh, okay. That's all right. That works. That works, because we've still got the pie. Look. We just need to move the pie over one. Here we go. Ba-da-bum. We were pretty close, right? We're pretty close. And that C is probably going to be a related chord to one of the other chords. But yeah, cool, right? Okay, so let's come back and I'll show you some other powerful things with this. So here's the second most useful thing about the key. Let's take a really simple song that only has a few chords, something really, really easy that we can work on. Let's do Stand By Me. This is one that I just grabbed from earlier. Okay, so the other thing that we can do with this power of fifths, circle of fifths, which is really powerful, is we can use it to transpose songs. So if I was singing this song, I'm going under, and this time I fear there's no one to save me. This one actually kind of does suit my voice, but imagine it was too high for me to sing or too low and we needed to change the key. Or perhaps we're playing with another instrument that only works in certain keys and we need to change the key of music. So and we'll talk a little bit as well about why we might change the key of later, because I think that is interesting and useful to know. Thanks, Kira. We got there in the end, right? We were pretty close. So let's have a look at this in a bit more detail. So let's try and work out what key this one's in. Well, first of all, we can map out these on our circle, couldn't we? Let me just do that. Let's pull these off and do it. So let's bring our circle in, get my pen ready. So we've got C here, we've got a G here, we've got an F here, and we've got a D minor. Well, I mean, just looking at that, you can probably guess, can't you, that this is going to be in the key of C, because we draw our pie, C's in the middle, and also the fact that there's no sharps and flats in it, and the key of C has no sharps or flats in it, that means that we're probably in the key of C. The other way to tell, and this is something that we could have done with Kira's song, if we'd have had, just to be sure, because you saw when we did Kira's that there were a couple of keys next to each other that overlapped. what you would do, just to make sure, is see which chord it resolves to, and if it is the one that's right in the middle, you're definitely in the right key. So here the chord right in the middle is a C major. Well, let's see whether it resolves to that. I'm going under, and this time I fear there's no one to save me. Let's do the very last one, actually, because that's going to have the resolution. I let my guard down. Trying to get to that verse, yeah. Now the day bleeds into nightfall, and you're not here to get me through it all. I let my guard down, and you pulled the rug. I was getting kinda used to being someone you loved. Bottom two lines. Let my guard down, and you pulled the rug. I was getting kinda used to being someone you loved. Does it feel resolved? Not quite yet. Now it does. So we got that strong resolution at the end. It took me a while to get there, but that again proves that we're in the key of C, which is really, really helpful. So what if I wanted to change this to another key? Sometimes, oh, hey, Tim, I didn't see that Tim was here. Hi, mate. I hope you're doing well. Gosh, you are up early. I'm very, very, very impressed. Nice. So we're in the key of C. If we wanted to transpose it, sometimes when I was a musician in the olden days, I used to try and kind of work it out by adding intervals up and down, and it just took me a while. It's a bit awkward. Now we can change the key to this really quickly, right? By using the circle of fifths. And eventually, when you learn this off by heart, you can do this in your head. Let's bring that circle of fifths back on. So let me just bring it up. Here we go. All right. And I'll put it into a pen so we can do a nice bright thing. Okay, so let's have a think. This song is going from a C. That's the first chord, right? C. And then it's going to a G, which is to the right of it. Okay. Then it's going to an A minor. And then it's going to an F. All right, like that. And then it just goes round in a circle, doesn't it? So the start of the song goes C, G, A minor, F. And if I just make that a bit less messy and show you from the start, that means we're going here to here. And then we're going here to here and here to here in a big circle. Well, what if I wanted to do this in the key of... Let's go crazy again. I'm going to get you guys to do it. Can you name a key? A random key, any key whatsoever, and we'll try and work it out in that key, and I'll show you how to do it. Let's not do B though, because as we worked out, that's quite horrible, which is going to show something powerful in a minute, actually. In fact, just whilst you're naming a key, let me show you something. This is a real good reason. In fact, actually, I'll just come back to the normal. No, I'll do that. This is a really good reason why sometimes we might want to change a key. If we were doing this in the key of B, down here, look at the chords that have come up. We'd have B, we'd have D sharp minor, we'd have a C sharp minor, and we'd have an E. Those are all really difficult chords to play, right? D, B, D sharp minor, C sharp minor. So that's another reason to change keys. Sometimes some chords, some keys are much easier to play in. So really worth thinking about. Yay, good, Pam. Hopefully this will make sense, and ask questions if it doesn't. Okay, we'll go to F. We'll go to F. We've got Karen's second choice here, so just to make it a little bit nicer to play. So let's bring this back on. Let's get rid of all that mess I was just making there. So we want to do the same pattern as we've got here in the key of F. So let's see if I can do it with a different colour pen. This is going to start to look a bit messy, but that's all right. So let's do our pi first. F is going to be in the middle. So here's our new pi in red. You guys see that? There's our pi. Okay. Now let's do the same pattern. I'll do a bright red pen so you can see it. So we're going to copy exactly the same pattern we were just doing in C, but this time we're going to do it in F. So we're going to go round to the right, then we're going to go down here, round in a circle, and back to the one chord. So if we want to play this in the key of C, in F now, we could see that the chords, if I write them up here, are going to be F, D minor, B flat, and then it goes back to F. If I've missed one out, I missed the C out, didn't I? Sorry, guys. F, C, D minor, B flat. Let's see if that works. Sorry, it looks like a madman's thing, but let's see if that works. I'll bring the lyrics back up, and instead of playing the original chords, I'll do those. So F, C, D minor, and B flat. Yeah, that's it, yeah, cool. That's working, right? I'll bring David's thing up so you can copy it. Just if you wanted to strum along, F chord like this, C chord like this, D minor like an F with this extra added, and then B flat, bottom two here, and then up here, okay? I'm going over and this time I fear there's no one to save me. This all or nothing really got a way of driving me crazy. I need somebody to hear. We're playing it in the key of F, just like magic, right? How cool is that? So it's really useful for transposing and changing key. Let's try another one. Let's try another key. So someone shout out another key. We'll keep it in a major key because it's already, you tend to, when you transpose, you keep it in whatever type of key it was in. So if it's in a major key, you'll choose another major key. If it's in a minor key, you'll choose another minor key. And that's really important because otherwise it will change the feel of the music. All right, we want the same feel, but just in a different pitch. Whilst we're waiting for someone to suggest another one, just let me go back to this crazy diagram again. Now, it can look a bit mad, right, when you've got all these arrows going. I know I said you could do it in your head, but it's quite difficult. So another way to do it is to think about numbers. Okay, so if I was to go back to that diagram, let's number the notes in the key of C. We'll just do them in alphabetical order down here. C, D, E, F, G, A, B. Okay, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So another way to think about it is in the key of C, we've got the 1 chord, followed by the 5 chord, okay, followed by the 6 chord, A minor, followed by, where does it go after that? To the F, to the 4 chord. So you often hear these chord progressions. If I give that Roman numerals, this one would be 1, 5, 6, 4. 1, 5, 6, 4. So a really common chord progression, or I could write it as 1, 5, 6, 4. So that can be another easier way of thinking about it. So then if I want to do it in the key of F, rather than doing the arrows, I could think about it, well, in the key of F, F is 1, and then if you're not sure what 5 would be, just count up. F, G, A, B flat, C. C is 5, and so on and so forth. And you can think of it in terms of numbers as well, which is that's what we do in Canna Capilla. That's why we have all those Roman numerals. So Pam suggested the key of A. So let's do exactly the same thing in the key of A. I'm going to get rid of all of this, I think, and so we've got a fresh one to start with. No, I'll just do another one because it's, here we go. Right. Gosh, I'm getting through these circles. Okay, let's bring this on board. So in the key of A now, okay, we can do exactly the same thing in the key of A. Let's move that up so we can see it better. So in the key of A, here's our pi. Okay, here's our pi. With A in the middle of the pi, that's our one chord. Remember, we're going to do exactly the same movement. We're going to go here, 1 to 5, that's here, around here. Then we're going to go around here to this one, A, B, C, D, E, F, that's the 6th chord. You don't have to worry about it being the 6th chord, but and then we went round to here, didn't we? D, which was the 4 chord. Okay, so same pattern yet again, and now that gives us A, E, F sharp minor. This is interesting. See, it's harder in this key, which might be another reason to change the key back to C or G eventually. That's what's kind of interesting about it. Let's play it. Let's check that that works. Okay, here we go. Bring it back on. Oh no, we want the song, don't we? And check it works in that key. Fantastic. Here we go. Ready, everybody? Let's try it. So that's going to be, I'll just type them and bring them on. So that's going to be A to E to F sharp minor. I'll show you how to do an F sharp minor to D. Okay, and I'll bring those on screen. So now we know that this is the chords that we're going to do for this song. Let's give it a go. I'll come in on close cam so you can see what I'm doing. So A is here. E's a tricky one. You could do it like this, but easiest way, just bar the 4th fret, little finger on 7th. F sharp minor, it looks like a G7 moved up towards your nose. And then D. Here we go. I'm going under, and this time I fear there's no one to save me. I could even, the chorus is the same as well. Look. Now the day bleeds into nightfall, and you're not here to see me through it all. I let my guard down, and you pulled the rug. I was getting kinda used to being someone you love. Now, I love it when stuff like this happens, because sometimes people, I don't put them up to it, I promise. Sometimes people ask the right question at just the right time. So Karen and Joe were just saying it's difficult to try and do this in real time quickly. But sometimes that's why it's really helpful to physically have a circle of fifths on you. Quite often I'll have one of these. These ones are quite nice. There's various makers of these. This is called the chord wheel. And it gives you all the different numbered chords, and it even gives you the chord diagrams for them. So you could have one of these on the fly to work it out, or even just have your circle of fifths there when you go to your uke groups to help you work it out. But of course, with all this stuff, I think the best thing to do is to practice it. So I would take a simple song that only has the same few chords over and over, like Someone You Loved, and try working it out. Challenge yourself to work it out in 4 or 5 different keys. Now, because some of those keys have harder chords than others, particularly if I just bring it up, the chords and keys down the bottom part of the diagram, because there are lots of sharps and flats, some chords with sharps and flats are quite tricky to play on uke. So basically, we try to avoid these keys mostly on ukulele just to make life easier on ourselves. So the most common keys to come up in the ukulele are the simplest keys, C, F, G, D and A. And that's because they're easier to work out, the chords are simpler, and they tend to suit most voices. So if you start by working out songs in those few keys first, you'll soon be able to do it a lot easier than you see. So yay, thanks Suzanne. That's good, that's what we want to hear. Fantastic. Now this is the last part of the lesson, but this is really, really important, so just stick with me if you can. Musicians have realised the power of the circle of fifths for years and years and years, and they've realised that certain chords in certain orders sound really nice on the circle of fifths. Our ears especially love it when the circle of fifths resolves backwards. When you think about when we're playing in the key of C, with C being here, Karen's just saying explain the ascending fourths on the left side of the wheel. Yeah, I can do that. Yeah, no problem. I'll do that in just a sec. Okay. I wonder if I could do it here. Basically, there are certain intervals in music that our ears love. They just really tickle it. And the most common intervals that come up in music are thirds, which we call tertian movement. So that would be like C to E minor. Fourths, which we've got by going backwards around the circle of fifths, okay? And we can see that here. If I start on a C, if I go backwards, so anti-clockwise, C, D, E, F, see how it goes up a fourth? We've got an F. F, G, A, B flat. We've got another fourth, so B flat. So some musicians will literally do that, and they'll put some chords together by going backwards around the circle of fifths. Let's start from further around so it doesn't get really kind of crazy. Let's start from D. Yeah, everyone just play a do me. Even though these chords are in different keys, they sound nice because they go up in fourths. D, da da da, D, D, D. G, da da da, da da da, C, da 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 da, and F, ba ba da ba ba da ba. In fact, this is, I genuinely didn't plan this. But I just realised that's the start of a song, isn't it? Is it Sweet Caroline or something like that? I don't know if it's Sweet Caroline. Let me hum it. Bum bum ba da 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 da. Is it Sweet Caroline? No, it's not, is it? It's something like, is it a Daydream Believer? I don't know. It's a song, right? So someone's written it by doing that. That's one way to think about it. The other way to think about it is that when you play a chord, it loves to resolve downwards a fifth. You can think of downwards a fifth as being the same as going up a fourth. It doesn't really matter how you think about it, but I tend to think about it as resolving five backwards. So when you play a G chord, it really wants to go to a C, okay? You feel that resolution, tension, resolution. When you play a D, it really wants to go to G, right? Really nice, okay? A couple of people have asked me about the chord wheel. This one's by a company called ukulelewheel.com, but there's tons of these available. If you look at the chord wheels, there's all sorts. There's another really nice one I've got made by Noisy Clan. That's noisy and then CLAN, which is worth looking at. That's what it is. Yeah. Hi ho, silver lining. Thanks, Kevin. I was going mad then. I couldn't work out what it was. Da, 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 da. It's amazing. You can actually get these songs just coming out like that. Just brilliant, right? So what musicians have realised that if you take, say, a G chord and you play it as a G7, so instead of a G, you play a G7, it feels even more unresolved. Whenever you play a G7, it really, notice a G will just sit there, but G7 feels like it wants to go somewhere and it wants to go to the C. And if I turn a C into a C7, it resolves even better to an F, because we have the tension of the dominant chord wanting to go to the F. And musicians over the years have realised how powerful that movement around the circle of fifths is. So you often get these songs. Let's see if I can bring one on to show you. Let's just play the first bit of 5 foot 2 eyes of blue. Everyone knows this. If you don't, just you'll soon get it. You've got the chord shapes up there to help you as well. But let's just give it a go. We're going to play a C to an E7 to an A7. We're going to hang on that one. D7, G7, and C. Okay. So if I just do that slowly, 5 foot 2, eyes of blue, but oh, what those 5 foot could do. Has anybody seen my gal? Turned up nose, turned out hose, but oh, never had no boats. Has anybody seen my gal? Now, what is special about this song is that it's a classic song that goes backwards around the circle of fifths. Each of those chords resolve into the next one. Let me show you. I'll see if I can bring two things on. And here we go. Rather than drawing all over it, because I've drawn all over so much, let's put this down here. We'll overlap them slightly so you can see them. I'll try and keep the chords on actually. Yeah, there. Okay, so notice we start with a C chord. That's the key that we're in. 5 foot 2. The next chord is this E, and it's using it as an E7, right? So basically, you've got our first finger here, second finger here, third finger here. So we're playing an E7. Eyes of blue. Notice that the next chord, guess what? It's an A7. Oh, what those 5 feet could do. If we go around again, the next chord was D7. Has anybody? Next chord is G7. Seen my. And then we go back to C, where we started. So this is a classic circle of fifths progression, and loads of chords, loads of songs do this. So we can hit C. Do it with me. C. Jump round to E7. Back to A7. D7. G7, and then we'll hit a C. The reason we play a C rather than a C7 is it makes it feel settled. Remember, seventh chords kind of feel like they want to go somewhere. And notice I've done these as colours because I see things in colours. If you're interested in this, I'm going to do a series of kind of documentary films on this because I find it fascinating. I think of these colours resolving into each other. So it's like a rainbow. You've got yellow going into kind of almost orange and then reddy orange and then red and pink. So you can kind of think of these colours wanting to resolve themselves if you're a visual learner like me. But if not, just notice we're going backwards around the circle of fifths. Why is that powerful? Wow, 2 reasons really quickly. First is you can guess what chord's coming next, right? Even if I take this away, let's take it away and put this up here. Okay. The first 2 chords were C and then E7. Let's do it. 5 foot 2, eyes of blue, then A7. Oh, what those 5 foot could do. Now, what do you think the next chord will be? You can use your circle of fifths knowledge to just think, well, I can probably guess it's going from E to A. Probably the next chord's going to be D, and we'll play it as a D7. Yeah. What is the next chord going to be? Well, it's probably going to be a G7, right? And then where does it finally resolve to after that? It goes round again to C. So sometimes when I'm on stage, I don't always get it right. Sometimes I make a complete idiot myself, like we all do, right? But I love playing with other musicians, and most often I can just work out what the chords are they're playing. And people think, oh, is that like some kind of crazy magic? Are you some kind of, mad genius that you remember all these chords? Nope. I just know what chords come next to each other in progressions, because I've played around the circle of fifths. So it's a really good thing to do. So let's do that again without the song sheet up. Let's try it. We're going to start at C, then we're going to jump round to E. That's the big jump, and then we're going to go back to C. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4. 5 for 2, eyes of blue. But oh, what those 5 for could do. Has anybody seen my gal? Back to C. Let's go again. What's the next one? Da, 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 turned up hose, something like that. Za, ba, ba, turned up hose. Never had no other boss. Has anybody seen my gal? Now the chorus is exactly the same thing, just without the C on the start, and we play each chord for longer. E7. Now if you run into a 5 for 2, what's next? A7. Covered with what's next? D7. Diamond rings and all those things next. Bet your life it isn't her. Back to C. Could she love? Could she woo? Back to A. Could she coo? D7. Has anybody seen my girl? So first off, it helps you to work out what chords are coming next, and songwriters have worked out for years that you can do that. There are so many songs. If you look at the B section of I Got Rhythm, the A section goes like this. I got rhythm, I got music. But have a look at the B section, exactly the same chords going circle around the circle of fifths. Old man river, he won't find me. You won't find him at my door. Bum, bum, bum. I got. So if I was playing that bridge and I didn't know this bottom line, I could probably work it out, couldn't I? Using the circle of fifths. Old man, da, da, he won't find me. Well, if we go backwards, it's D, right? Da, 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 da. Backwards again, G. Da, da, da. Really powerful. We could also transpose this instantly. So let's try this in a different key. Let's say we want to play this in the key of G. Let's say we want to do it in the key of G. Let me bring one more circle of fifths on. One last bit, and then I'll take questions at the end as well. I think I've got one more. Yeah, great. So if I just bring this one. Oh, I unplugged my. I don't know why I did that. Okay, unplugged my laptop by accident. Sorry guys, I am still here. I'm just plugging something in a sec. Give me 1 minute. Ba-ba-bum. There you go. You can look at my ugly face whilst I work this out. I just accidentally unplugged my iPad. That's all it is. Hopefully this will get it going again. Yay! Okay. Right. So that 5 for 2 progression went like this. Let's just draw it on quickly. Went from here round to here, and then it just gradually came backwards, didn't it, to C. All of these being played as a 7, just like that. Okay, so that's what's happening in 5 for 2 eyes blue. So let's do the same thing in a different key. This time we'll do it in the key of G. So this is going to be where we start, and then we're going to whiz round the circle. This time we'll go to B, and then we're going to come back all the way back to G, and we're going to play all of these as 7s. All right, you already know most of them because we're just playing them. B7, the easiest way to do it is like this. I'll draw it on the diagram so you can see it. Oops, what have I done? I've gone to the next one. Sorry guys, let me see if I can get that back again. No, it's disappeared. I don't know how I did that, but I'll show you on here anyway. B7 will look like this. Dum 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 dum, like an E minor, but moved up towards your head. All right, so that's your B7. All right, and then just let me ever so quickly Okay, we're nearly there, guys. I know I've been going on a bit. Then we're going to go down here and we're going to come backwards around the circle of fifths. Now this should give us exactly the same song, right? So these in sevenths and this one down here as well. It's awkward trying to fit it on. There we go. Right, okay. So let's try this. Okay, I'll keep it on screen a sec, but just wanted to make sure you knew I was still here. So we'll start with G, round to B7, E7, A7, D7, and G. Let's do it together. 5'2", eyes of blue, but oh, what those 5 could do. Has anybody seen my girl? We've just, literally just like that, transposed the song 5'2", eyes of blue into the key of G. It's really powerful. What we'll do I want to show you one more kind of chord progression and then we'll finish off. If you want to go really jazzy, even like crazy jazz music, right? If we look at Autumn Leaves, which is a very famous one, and we'll just do these chords here. You'll notice that even in jazz music, we get really cool common chord combinations that use the circle of fifths. This just show you how common it is in jazz. Let me just see if I can erase all this stuff I did so I can reuse this one. Okay. So if we have a look at Autumn Leaves here, and I bring my circle of fifths on, there we go. Notice that here we've got a C minor, so we're on the inside wheel at the moment, over here. And that goes to a type of F chord. But we're going to play that as a seventh to make it want to move somewhere. And then that goes to a type of B flat chord. Okay. And then when we go around, oh, I've done that wrong. I'm being daft. I'm so sorry. My brain's gone at the end. I was doing it on the out. I should have been doing that on the outer wheel. I had a bit of a daft moment there. So we're going to go, just bring that up. C here. Okay. Going around to F here. Going around to B flat. And we're going to do this one as a type of minor 7, just because that's what they like to do in jazz. Oh, I just realised I need to move that over a bit. Let me just move that over so you can see it. There we go. And then that's often what we call a 2-5-1 in jazz music. It's one of the most common chord progressions you get of all time. I've realised you can't properly see all the chords here because they've been cut off, but let me just play you that so you can hear it. Okay. Those autumn leaves drift by my window. And then the next part of Autumn Leaves is a minor 2-5-1. So we do exactly the same thing, but on the inside of the wheel. So we've got A minor going to D, but we're going to play it as a D7 to make it a bit more jazzy. And then it goes to G minor 7. So can you see that? We've got a major 2-5-1 and then a minor 2-5-1. And loads of jazz, if I get this out of the way, loads of jazz is based on these progressions. So I'll put that together so you can hear it. Let's see if I can, bring that back on. That will look like, oh yeah, the chords are there now. Let's do the simpler version. So for some reason it's wiped out a couple of chords, but those autumn leaves drift by my window. Those autumn leaves of red and gold. I see your lips, those sunburned kisses. Da da da. I used to hold So that's Autumn Leaves. In that one's in the key of B flat. That one. But I could do exactly the same thing. This is getting a bit crazy. I've gone way too in depth here now, guys. But I could do the same thing in another key just to show you how it works. So I could do A to D to G, major 251. So this would be in the key of G because we end up on this one. So I'm going to do, let's see, I'm going to do an A minor, D, let's call that D7, followed by G. And then I'm going to go on the inside, I'm going to do F sharp minor. We'll do that as a 7, B7 and E minor, just so you can see how formulaic it is. And that would sound like something like this. Let me just play a few. So that's the outer wheel. And then the inner wheel. And I get Autumn Leaves in another key. So that's just showing you kind of, that was probably a step too far. I don't know why I did something with crazy hard chords in, but it gives you an idea that you can even use it for jazz music, which is really super exciting. So let's just do a little bit of a recap then of what we've learned today, because I think it's really important sometimes just to make sure we understand what we've learned. So circular fifths, the mechanics of it is every time we go clockwise around the circle, we're going up 5, C, D, E, F, G, G, A, B, C, D. When we go the other way, we're going in fourths, C, D, E, F. Remember that you can use the steps around the outside ring by adding sharps, so you know what key a song's in. And we can use the other way around the circle of fifths, adding flats, and that will tell you what key you're in as well. And if you can start to remember some of these, that's amazing. C has no sharps or flats, G has 1, D has 2, and then you can go the other way. C no flats, F1, B flat 2, etc, etc. And then if you're not sure which one is the main chord, the tonic that everything resolves to, just play the song through, and where the song feels settled and resolved, that's going to be your one chord. Next, we learnt that we could create pies. We can take a little pie and we can find out what chords are likely to come up in the key. I can't do this quickly now, but imagine we took that big chunk triangle at the top where we had C, F, G, A minor, D minor and E minor, and if we count round 5 we get the 7th chord as well. That was really powerful because that allowed us to work out what song a key is in. It allowed us to guess what chords are going to come up. It allowed us to write our own songs, which is fantastic, and it's really empowering. We worked out how to change a key by identifying patterns around the circle of fifths and then doing them elsewhere in the circle. Again, really powerful. And then we looked at some songs which use common chord progressions going round the circle of fifths. So if you see loads of chords with 7 after them, like E7, A7, D7, G7, chances are they're going backwards around the circle of fifths. And jazz songs will often use around the outside of the circle, followed by around the inside of the circle. Really powerful tool. What I would like you guys to do is to try and put some of this into practice. What I would say is it's no good just kind of having it sat there on the wall. I mean, it can be useful to look at and just in terms of revision and trying to remember it. Thanks, Leslie. But I think the best thing to do is to take some really simple songs with maybe 4 chords and then see if you can work them out in different keys and practice them all around the circle. So you could do one in the key of C, then the key of F, key of B flat, and so on and so forth. Remember that the most difficult keys are the ones near the bottom, and the friendliest keys are the ones basically from 11 o'clock to around about sort of 4 o'clock. That's your friendliest key, this top bit up here. So hopefully you found that really interesting. I'm going to stick around just to see if there's any questions at the end. Sorry, that was quite theory driven, but hopefully lots of kind of light bulb moments going off there, which is exactly what we want. If you enjoyed this way of teaching and you'd like to learn more, I have an entire course just on music theory for ukulele on my website. It's called Uke Theory. There's 30 lessons there, and they go step by step. So it builds as you go along. Basically, it's sequentially designed and structured in that way. If you haven't already joined as well on my website, learnukulele.com, you'll find 10 different courses. There's beginners, intermediate, next steps, and then we've got all sorts of fun courses. Like there's one just on the Beatles. I've got a new lesson of that one coming up if anyone's been waiting. I know it's been a while, but there will be a new lesson coming up. We've got Beatles, we've got things like jazz and blues ukulele. There's a whole course just on baritone. So just check it out, learnukulele.com, and you'll find me on there. And also there on the homepage, you'll find when the next live lesson is. So we do these every 2 weeks on a Wednesday. The next one is going to be in 2 weeks' time, and I thought I'd do something different because this one was quite theory heavy. We're going to do lots of playing in the next one. So we're actually going to do a Beatles song off the Beatles course. We're going to look at Here Comes the Sun. We're not going to do all of them off the Beatles course because that wouldn't be fair on the Beatles people that have paid for the course. But we're just going to dip in and have a few examples. So this is going to be the next one. We're going to look at Here Comes the Sun. I'm going to teach you a beautiful fingerstyle arrangement. And what makes this one cool is it illustrates something called campanella, which in Spanish means little bells, and it's a particular way of playing across the strings, which sounds really good. So that's going to be in 2 weeks' time, 2 Wednesdays from today. And don't forget, I'm away next week, so there won't be a Canna next week, but I'm back the week after. So next Canna is going to be on November the 3rd. So if it seems quiet around learnukulele.com and on Facebook next week, it's just because I've finally gone away for a rest. I'm taking the family down to Devon and we're going to have a chill time. So I'm around till Friday if you need to get hold of me for anything, and then off for a week, and then I'll be back the week after as well. So yeah, absolutely. Pam makes a good point there. Thanks, Karen. Yeah, if you could give a thumbs up to the video, that really helps with the algorithm. Thank you. And Pam's saying she finds she has a better grasp of things the second time round, and I do as well. So if you're ever on one of these courses, even if it's not mine, and you're on a particularly difficult concept, it's well worth rewatching a video lesson a few times. When I was learning about jazz, because I just love jazz music, I'm not being all nerdy or anything, I just love it. I would sometimes watch the same video like 6 or 7 times, and then it's like, by the 5th or 6th time, the penny drops and you get it. So don't feel afraid to watch things, including this one. Replay will be available on the website, and you can watch this as many times as you like if you find it useful. I think we had a question there. Was it from Joe? Let me just scroll back a sec. Joe's just saying, speaking of working out keys, do you have some suggestions for how better we can train our ears to identify keys? I greatly admire those who can ID keys by ear. Yeah, absolutely, Joe. So I think the most important thing is to work out where the song feels resolved to. I know we talked about this a bit today, but I can't say how important that is. So say you listen to a song, just off the top of my head, because I know the chords and then it's really easy. Stand By Me, right? So when the night has come and the land is dark and the moon is the only light we'll see. Okay. We know that it feels resolved on that last chord I played, just because no special music theory, it just feels rested there. Now this is going somewhere, Joe, don't worry, I know you probably know what key this is in already and everything, but even if I was to play and you couldn't see the chords that I was doing, in fact, just thinking, I'll try it in a different key. When the night has come and the land is dark, and the moon is the only light we'll see. So if you're listening to this on a record and you're thinking, I want to work it out by ear, first of all think where it feels rested, and it's that final key. And the moon is the only light we'll see. And then think, does that chord feel major or does it feel minor? Major would be straightforward and happy. Minor would be sadder. That's a minor version of the same chord. Major, minor. Okay. Now what I would do if you not able to do it by ear straight away would just be to try and identify that chord, right? Well, we know it's a major chord. There's only 12 major chords in the whole world, right? There's only 12 of them because there's only 12 notes in the world. So what you would do is you would take a major chord, say like an A here, and you keep playing it up the fretboard, counting as you go. A sharp, B, C, C sharp, D, D sharp, F. And if you start running out of room, try a different major chord shape. C, C sharp, D, D sharp, E, F, F sharp, G. And you could literally do this whilst the record's playing. And every time it lands on that last chord, moon is the only light we'll see. You can play those chords and only one of them will fit, and it was that G chord. So that tells you that we know that it's resting on that chord, so it's in that key. That's the tonic, it's the one that everything's built from. We know it's a major chord because it's straightforward sounding, and you can find the right one by experimenting on your ukulele and finding the chord. So we're in the key of G. And then I literally just did the circle of fifths, that kind of doing the transposition. So G. In the key of C, it was A minor, which is a 6 chord. So we'd have E minor, G, A, B, C, D, E minor. Whoops, how do I play E minor again? There we go. Then we had, what did we have? We had F and G, which is the 4 and 5 chord. So in the key of G, G, A, B, C. 5 chord D, back to G. And there we go, we got it in the key of G. When the night has come and the land is dark and the moon is the only light we'll see. And then one more, just quickly, because I can't resist, Joe. Another way that I often do to work out a key if I don't get it in my ears straight away is I'll take a scale, say my C major scale, and then I'll play the same shape scale at C sharp. I'll do it at D. And I'll noodle around with those notes until one of them fits the song that I'm playing. I'll give you an example. I wonder if I can find a quick backing track. I'm going a bit mad now, but this might work. Give me a sec. Sorry guys, I've got a bit nuts. But hopefully this is kind of interesting, I think. Which one is it? It's that one, isn't it? It's that one, I think. No, it's not that one. Just trying to connect to my speaker. I think it might be that one. Oh, I'll just play it loud. So let's just choose a song that's on YouTube that I've been playing around with recently. Let's just put song, key of. Let's go for that one. So here's a song that's in a particular key. You might recognise it. Let's see if I can play it. Is this going to work? Come on, why aren't you playing out loud? Ah, here we go. Wow, this is the Beatles mucking about. So what I would do, I'll play to the Beatles mucking about. Oh, do they get into it eventually? Oh, it's Hey Jude. I would play around with those scales till I find one that fits. Aha! That's the F major scale. So now I can even solo along with it. Let's try it. This is just the F major scale. So I'm getting carried away. That's another way you can do it. Sorry guys, I'm getting well carried away. But yeah, I'll quite often just just play up and down the keys. It's easier on a piano, going back to what Shao was saying. I was thinking of you, Shao. Thinking about what you're saying about working out keys on the piano earlier. It's even easier on the piano because you literally just play all the white notes, bum 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 bum, and then you start the next one, bum 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 bum, and you can keep going up, and that'll tell you the key even quicker. You don't have to know all your scale shapes on your fretboard, but yeah, something that's quite interesting. Right, I think I'm going to head off now because I feel like I'm just going a bit mad. I feel like I've been here forever, boring you guys to death. I hope you found that really useful. Do check out my website, learnukulele.com, and if you go to live lessons and then workshop archive, you'll find literally hundreds of these lessons that I've done over the years, and you can rewatch them anytime. So if you found this interesting, if you'd like to know more about scale construction, there's a lot more about it on the intermediate course, but also check out the uke theory course where there's a lot of detail. So if you wanted to know how I took all those scales up and down the fretboard, there's a whole video on that, and there's a quick tip one where you can learn it in about 5 minutes as well, so check that out. Any questions, get in touch. I'm always here to help, so ping me an email if you're not sure of anything. Thanks guys, and yeah, I really enjoyed that. Thank you for sticking with me, so many of you. I really appreciate that. I know that's a bit of a long slog, but hopefully you found that really useful. Oh, one last reminder that we've got a few places left on the ukulele cruise if anyone's interested. Sorry, it's a bit random, it just popped into my head. So if you want to come and join me on the Caribbean seas learning ukulele in some of the most beautiful places in the world in February, get in touch and you can find out more about the ukulele cruise. It's on the website and everything as well. So thanks, Leslie. The madness is half the fun, right? Yeah, exactly. Fantastic. And lastly but not leastly, just wanted to thank all of you guys for all of your support as always. I genuinely could not do this without you, so thanks for coming and sticking with me, so I'm not just shouting out into the void. Much appreciated. And if you want to do it again 2 weeks time, we're going to look at the Beatles' Here Comes the Sun. Lovely chord melody arrangement. Well, take care everyone, and I will see you when I'm back from Devon. Obviously I'll be suntanned from a week in the rain. I'll see you, thanks Vicky, I'll see you on the other side. Take care everyone.